Can you beat Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 without leveling up? Here are the rules. Number 1, no using the boost attributes function. By the end of the run, all of those numbers next to those stats should be at 0. Number 2, no stat boosts from external sources. Any stat boosts from costumes, QQ bangs, even Super Souls aren't allowed. Number 3, no DLC skills. I don't have the DLC. Number 4, everything must be done on normal mode with no battle items. And for number 5, no Shenron wishes. And for some bonus challenges, no Super Souls and no PQ farming. With that out of the way, let's get into the run. Upon landing in Kansan City, one of the first things you're going to want to do is strip. Your normal clothes have stat boosts on them, and we don't like that. Accessories are fine though, because they don't give stats. After completing the tutorial, head into the first battle against Raditz. If the tutorial was a tutorial to play a game, Raditz's fight is a tutorial for the challenge. Your main strategy is just to keep combos going, because the more you hit him, the less he can hit you. And in the level 1 challenge, health is your biggest enemy. After beating Raditz, you're introduced to this useless person and go straight into PQ number 1. PQ number 1 is a tutorial for parallel quest levels that literally tells you about stuff that you'll never use in a parallel quest level. Like, tell me when's the last time you used a scouter, like seriously. Pretty much the most interesting that happens in this first part is me trying to get some stick drift out of my controller. After beating the most boring quest in the entire challenge, we can finally move on to the main story. If you don't want to be naked for the rest of this run, in preparation for this, you should get the Yamcha's Total Hermit Gi, because you can use that for QQ Bang mixing to get a 0 attribute. Oh yeah, here I finally set my first skill set for this entire run. This skill set is very trash because I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So most of the Saiyan Saga is pretty easy up to like the Great Ape fight, so I guess now we can talk about one of the first of many strats I figured out. So originally I was trying to use Orin Combo to end off some combos because it's free damage and pretty much always happens. But then I realized that Meteor Blow is actually broken and you can just infinitely combo that to oblivion, basically just killing Nappa like instantly. For these battles, you might think that using ultimate skills will be your key to winning, especially in the early game, but actually ultimate skills are like worse than just regularly comboing. You have to do this whole setup and it doesn't even work out, it doesn't even do that much damage in the end, so I would say just avoid using ultimates. So how much do you like endurance matches? The Great Ape fight isn't really that hard, it's just very tedious due to the fact that it takes so long to actually do damage and they can just kill you at any point. The main gimmick of the Great Ape fight is that they have a stamina bar that you have to deplete before you can actually start doing damage to them. This bar does nothing to increase the difficulty, it just makes this go way longer than it should go. It also doesn't help that Goku is petrified from 2 big monkeys that he won't attack anyone. Anyways, the basic strat that you want to do is you want to use Kamehameha or something close to that to just break that stamina bar first. And then you want to deal as much damage as you can before it regens back. And right before it regens back, you want to grab their tail so you can do a little bit of extra damage. Make sure you're careful about killing them and you don't put yourself in any risk of dying because it's way faster if you can only have to do this mission once. This fight legitimately took me like 5 minutes and is probably one of the longer fights in this entire run. After beating the Saiyan Saga, we go straight into the Time Rift side quest. You should really only be focusing on the rift that matters most to your character because the only thing that the other rifts get you is some more rewards and the post story, which we're not doing. So for Saiyans, that would be the Capsule Corporation, and all you have to do is just level up basically to your required level. So it's mainly a side quest, but it is also part of your main quest. Most of the Awokens are pretty useless, save for like Super Saiyan and Purification. Here's something that's not useless though. You no longer have to be naked. If you go up to the Capsule Corp and go to this spot and talk to him, you can make QQ bangs. Mix 2 Yamcha's Turtle Hunter McGee and no other mix items, and you might have a chance at getting a 0 attribute QQ bang. And I say have a chance very lightly because, holy god, why did this take so long for me to do this? Personally, you're not going to see me do this, mostly because this is just really funny to me. The Namek Saga itself is pretty uneventful and has no real roadblocks in it, but for future reference, if a mission says anything like reduce X's enemy's health a certain amount, most of the time you could just focus on that enemy and quickly end the mission. So for the first mission in particular, you could just focus Zarbon and just ignore Dodoria like the entire time, and you'll just beat that quickly. Otherwise, the rest of the Namek Saga is pretty uneventful. Yeah, so maybe I grinded for a bit too long in a no-level challenge. So this is the point that I decided to start going and like leveling up and grinding out my instructor rank, mostly because you need level 50 anyways for the end game, and also instructor rank gives you access to better skills. Yeah, but then I forgot about the fact that we don't actually have enough instructors on the map to even rank up, so I just ignored that and went straight to the Ginyu Saga. Yeah, so that was a lie. The Ginyu Saga has absolutely nothing interesting, so we're just going to move on to the Frieza Saga. The Frieza Saga is the first saga that actually starts to give you trouble. This is because the enemies have finally learned how to combo, and one of their combos takes out one of your health bars. For the fight against Turles and Slug, focus one of them and get their health down to the minimum, and then go for the other. Once Gohan leads, you're free to go ahead and kill them to finish off the first phase. The second phase is more of the same. You probably won't end up killing one of them before Trunks shows up, but the health transfer is between that cutscene anyway, so it really doesn't matter. The next two fights against Final Form Frieza aren't that hard, so we'll just move straight onto the Frieza Cooler fight. On a side note though, I want to say how much of a missed opportunity this game had. The whole point of this game is Toa and Mira messing with history, so why didn't they do a mission where, I don't know, Frieza didn't end up killing Krillin and Goku never went Super Saiyan? Then that would lead to like an actual storyline where you had to like fight against Goku with Frieza to make sure he unlocks Super Saiyan. Just seems like a missed opportunity, you know?
What's up? You gotta stop and listen. It's coming to you. Kula, Kula, Frieza no brother. Mukashi Goku o mirogashi. Kula, Kula, Frieza no brother. Kenka ichizoku, horobi hime, mabarashi.
Congratulations, you made it to the first hard fight of the entire game. This fight is already considered one of the biggest difficulty spikes in a normal playthrough, and it's no different in this run either. Be uber careful here and make sure you don't make any stupid mistakes. The worst thing you can get hit by is an ultimate, so here's some tips to help dodge it. By pressing L2 plus X and flicking the stick in any direction, you can do what's called a quick vanish, where basically you just vanish out of the way of everything. Another slightly more risky thing you can do is hold triangle to cancel the ultimate. If you do that, it'll break their stamina, and then you can follow up with a combo of your own. For the first phase of this fight specifically, what you want to do is you want to target the person who's targeting you, shown with that little red icon. This is mainly to prevent either one of them from getting too much damage on you before the real fight starts in phase 2. When Phase 2 rolls around, you basically want to be targeting Cooler almost all the time. This is mainly because he has an evasive that first of all just invalidates all of your damage and also leaves you open to full combo. Unlike the Monkeys fight, Goku's actually really useful in this fight and will keep Frieza at bay for you while you go for Cooler. Remember, don't take any unnecessary risks if you don't have to. You don't want to be redoing this entire fight. Once you finish Cooler, Frieza is pretty easy to pack up, and then you can send them both into an explosion of Namek to beat the whole arc. Yeah, so remember that broken evasive he has? Why don't we try and go and get that? Cue the montage. So after that, obviously short detour, the first Vegeta mission opened up for me. The fight itself is pretty easy, but he does do that thing where you spread shot retreat and he spams it. Competitive Xenoverse players know what I'm talking about when I say that. But I mean seriously, just look at how many times he spams that. Almost spams it as much as he says impossible. Anyways, after all of that side questing, I decided to move on to the Future Saga. I'm not gonna lie, I thought the Future Saga was gonna be harder because of the fight against Android 17 and 18. But then as I was playing through the Future Saga, I realized that, oh wait, there's only 2 missions here, and there is no 17 and 18 fight. Anyways, so the whole gimmick of the Future Saga is that you not only have to keep yourself alive, but you also have to keep your AI ally alive. Now, this could be hard, except for the fact that you only ever have to fight one person at a time, which means it actually becomes pretty easy. I mean, it's not easy by any means, because your friendly AI can still mess up your combos, and also the enemy AI now knows how to use evasives, but even still, it's not going to be that much of a problem. Your first fight with Mira isn't going to be that hard. You can keep using the same strats that you always use, but whenever he uses his ultimate, just don't evasive early, because he will still get hit by it. But honestly, my advice to avoiding it is just give him back shots. Don't even try and attack from the front. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish I had more to talk about this saga, but like, there's actually nothing here that you haven't already experienced, so we're just gonna move on to the next saga. The Cell Saga is also nothing special due to the fact that it's mostly just fights that you've already done. I'm pretty sure the first mission is just an excuse to show off 18's new swaggy clothes and the fact that they don't have to only use that one outfit. The Mira fight in this saga is also not hard at all, due to the fact that he doesn't even have that ultimate that we had trouble with in Future Saga. If you really have trouble with Mira, you can basically just stall it out because you have a soft timer on this mission anyways. The Cell Juniors might be a little bit of a problem due to the fact that they actually have good enough health, and it's always the fact that there's always going to be at least 3 of them on the stage at any given moment, and you have to kill 6 of them before you can move on. It's very easy for them to just combo you and juggle you between them, but they never actually do that. After that, someone decided to revive where basically he's just a Cell Juniors on crack. Killing a total of 30 of them might sound like a lot, except for the fact that this is one of the only missions where Trunks actually does something. I think throughout this entire battle, he ended up killing like 3 of them, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's actually quite a sizable amount, especially considering that he had to kill 12 in this phase. But also, you realize that I have Death Beam, and Death Beam go burr. And Death Beam's really good at these smaller guys because it takes out like a huge chunk of their health. The final fight against Cell is nothing too hard to write home about. He's definitely not as hard as Frieza and Cooler, so just beat him up with Gohan's help to render this arc complete. Hey buddy, you need to get up. We still got 15 minutes. These are really not important to this run at all, but I just wanted to touch on them. These are expert missions, and basically they're just hell incarnate. They aren't required by any means, but they're a very annoying challenge that I will be doing if this video gets enough traction. The Buu Saga doesn't offer that much in terms of difficulty, but Broly is actually kind of a hard fight. His ultimate is very easy to break with a charged heavy, but if you don't end up doing that, you can always just light vanish and sidestep it. Make sure that you're always moving when it comes out though, because it does invisibly track you and it can mess you up if you don't dodge it. When Broly comes back all powered up, just be more careful because one of his combos can actually come and wreck you for no reason. The final fight against Kid Buu doesn't have too many problems, but his evasive does get annoying, especially when it just invalidates all your damage. It's not as bad as Cooler's though, because he can't capitalize much off of it. Otherwise, the Buu Saga's end isn't really that much harder than Frieza Cooler. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just link in the Battle of the Gods arc too, because it's legit only like 2 fights, and there's really no point in making a whole new section for this. Anyways, for the fight against Max Saiyan and Mira, just be careful and don't take too much damage like someone did right here. They're not that hard, and Mira still does not have his broken ultimate, but he does have Gallic Beam Can now, which will rock your shit if you're not careful. The Pudding Disaster is actually a fight that works in our favor. This is mostly because the fight in its own design is an endurance match, and since every match is an endurance match for us, it's not going to be that much harder than playing normally. Which means this is the one time where you can actually reasonably use your ultimates. Now seems like a good time to talk about the almost final set. Meteor Blow and Death Beam already talked about a little bit, but basically Meteor Blow is used for infinite combos and Death Beam is used to kill the small people. After Image is kind of mid, but it's good to use to get out of a quick pinch if you need to. Yeah, I didn't really end up using it during the run, but it exists. Full power charge is just nice to have because it helps you charge ki at the start of a battle, even if it doesn't matter most of the time. And I'm not going to talk about the ultimates right now because it's not complete yet. All you really need to know is that Special Beam Can is good for 1 hit damage. Anyways, with this set, Beerus shouldn't be that much of a problem, especially when you can just attack break and kill him because his ultimate is very easy to counter. Just kill him and then bank it for an easy arc complete. Welcome to the penultimate saga of the game. Even though it's the second to last arc, it really does not put that much in the face of challenge. This first fight is pretty simple, it's just tedious. You basically just have to kill 15 of these grunts, so it's kind of like the Metal Cooler fight, but Jocko doesn't really help that much. In fact, I think he's pretty much a hindrance. Just make sure you don't take too much damage in this first part, because Frieza is a little bit scary and can rock you. When you actually get to fighting Frieza, just make sure you don't take too many risks, because he does do a lot of damage, and you don't want to take too much damage there. And whatever you do, do not let your stamina break. Do not let your stamina break, because he can't do anything, and you will most likely get hit by the supernova here. The next battle starts off with just you and Goku versus Golden Frieza. He isn't really that hard, and he's mainly just a warm-up for what's next in this fight. And if you're wondering what's next in this fight, well... Anyways, when Cooler comes in, Vegeta joins too, so the battle isn't that much worse. However, Frieza's ultimate will just stun you, and it's very hard to get out of, even with an evasive. This strategy differs from the first Frieza Cooler fight, because basically here I'm just wailing on Frieza because he already has his health down, and it's just easier to kill him first and then deal with Cooler later. Anyways, the final mission of this arc is just a roided out version of the last fight, which doesn't really change anything because they still have the same moveset. Just go ahead and end the Wicked Bloodline to put an end to this final arc and start the endgame. So before we get into the endgame, we should probably make some stops for some skills. The first stop I made was to go over to Kami Island with the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 and participate in PQ 51. We don't actually need anything for PQ 51, just completing this opens up a new instructor for us. I'm not gonna lie, PQ 51 is the hardest quest I've ever done in this run. I think that might be mainly due to the fact that I was just bad at video games, but also the fact that Goldo is actually just a menace in this fight, especially considering he could just freeze you at any point. If I had any advice for someone doing this PQ, I would say just go for the Capsule Corp area first so you can deal with Goldo while you still have a lot of health, and then you can ration out your health with everyone else. But again, for this run specifically, we're just looking to complete it, not ultimate finish or grind for it. After that, I decided to go do the second Vegeta mission to work to getting Super Saiyan, because that's actually a requirement for the final battle. The second Vegeta mission itself isn't really that hard. He does spam Bakuna again, but I will not be doing another one of those because I'm tired. This is merely a formality at this point. This opened up way earlier, I just never got around to doing it because I didn't remember to do it. Actually getting Super Saiyan is the whole thing though, because it's just tedious because the game decides to be a little annoying. The whole part of the fight before actually having to use Super Saiyan is pretty easy due to the fact that you actually have all your skills. But then the game does the most annoying thing it could possibly do. When you go Super Saiyan, you lose access to your skills! Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea? Okay, to be completely fair, it doesn't actually make the fight any harder, it just makes it way more tedious because now you have to just use basic attacks and you have no combos and no damage. I just think it's really annoying that you lose access to all your skills because you just go Super Saiyan, which is a requirement for this battle. So anyways, after finishing the Super Saiyan mission, you go back to the map and you see Gohan and Videl on the map. The entire reason we did PQ 51 is to get them to show up onto the map so we can go get their skills. Or more specifically, we're here for one skill and one skill only. And that skill is Justice Combination. Here's all the pros and cons that I can think of for this move. And like, even so, the fact that it doesn't do much damage and it's very easy to evade doesn't really matter when you're just chucking out like 10 of these at every battle. Actually, you know what? Let's go to a montage. Welcome to the end game. Every single one of these fights, except for one, takes place in Purple West City. Anyways, the first fight consists of you and Trunks versus a gassed up Bardock and Mira. Bardock himself isn't really an issue, but Mira can get a bit troublesome if you just let him run off for too long. In Phase 2, Mira shows up, which is when the trouble actually starts. This is mostly because Mira has yet another new ultimate for us to watch out for. Dimension Ray is Janemba's ultimate attack, and it's really just unblockable in general. If you're in range to break his ultimate, always do that, because you don't want to have it come out. But if you're not in range, always just about face and dodge it. After a little bit of Bardock Second Machina, we move on to the fight against the Xenoverse 1 protagonist. This fight only requires you to beat the Xenoverse 1 hero, so you can just ignore Toa pretty much this entire fight. Honestly, this fight isn't even hard due to the fact that he literally has, like, no skills. He only has one ultimate that's just a worse version of Ki Explosion. And Rage Saucer, though it does lock onto you and it's kind of annoying to parry, you can just quick vanish out of it like we always do, and it works pretty well. Again, this fight isn't really hard. You shouldn't have too much trouble beating it. Anyways, in a last-ditch effort, Toa decides to just erase Xenoverse 1 from the timeline. Which is a really weird thing considering the fact that we haven't actually played Xenoverse 1 here. This fight is even easier than the previous fight due to the fact that she has no skills. If you didn't know, Toa's kit is pretty much identical to what a support class would be, except for the fact that she has to fight alone. Her ultimate attack, the thing that you usually have to avoid, is literally just a healing circle that is very easy to just get rid of immediately. To add insult to injury, after a minute, Trunks joins in and starts helping you beat her up, even though she's probably going to be already dead by the time he joins. After beating her, congratulations, you're now on to the final battle. The final battle features you fighting out against an even more coked out Mira. The first phase is pretty much just your standard Mira fight. He has minus energy Powerball, he has Serious Bomb, and you just want to keep avoiding those and not take too much damage so you can prep for what's coming up next. Also, in this first phase, you have to wait for Toa to stop the yapping, so once you get Mira down to the point where you can't do any more damage, he can't actually do any more damage to you either, so you can just kind of chill out and take a mental break for what's next. You should focus on charging your ki and your stamina back up as high as you can, and the best way to charge up your stamina is just stay on the ground and don't fly. For the second phase of the fight, Toa decides to join you to rectify this mistake that she made with Mira. Toa is probably the most useful ally in this game, mostly due to the fact that she's a support class, remember? And yeah, she actually gets healing. If she uses her ult and you're in her range, she will heal you. And she can do some weird shenanigans with Science Bullet or whatever, but it doesn't really help that much. For the final phase, Mira decides to pull a cell and start absorbing willy-nilly. But this is the one time that I think an absorption is actually good, because the amount of aura this man shows when he fully transforms is unbelievable. Like, seriously, look at this. And when all hope looks to be lost, in true Dragon Ball fashion, someone shows up to save the day.
I hope I'm not too late to set my demons straight. I know I made you wait, but how much can you take? I hope you see the God in me. I hope you can see. And if it's up, stay down for me. Yeah.
Goku heard this guy was really strong and decided to come back here as our #1 goated ally of this entire run. But just because Goku is here doesn't mean this fight is going to be easy. Mira now has 2 super moves, one of which is unblockable and one of which is hard to dodge. The first super move he unleashes is what I like to call the blue balls, not just because they look like blue balls, but also because they give you blue balls. These guys are unblockable and they get rid of all your stamina, which means no more dodging. The best strat to do is either dodge him as much as you can, or get lucky and let him go target Goku so you have a chance to recover. The second super move he has is Peeler Storm, which is very hard to block and is pretty much just a dodge fest. Literally just start spamming quick vanishes, that's the only strat I can give you. Even if you get hit, you'll get hit at the end, so it won't do too much damage. You also probably want to stay careful because he does have minus energy Power Ball again. But we know how to dodge that now, so it should be fine. This fight shouldn't be that hard if you just keep your combos up and keep stamina breaking him whenever you can. He actually only was able to unleash one of those by the time I ended the fight because of the absolute combo potential we had. Beat his fine-ass mug to render this challenge as complete. If you're still here after watching that entire video, I just want to say thank you for watching. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is the game that got me to start, like, fully gaming, and I really love it for that. This video took me way too long to make, as in, like, I started editing this video before I made literally any other video on this channel. You can probably tell because the editing back in, like, the beginning of this video is wildly different from, like, the end of the video. I'm not gonna lie, I really thought this run was gonna be harder, but I guess I'm just the goat like that or something. Or, you know, maybe it's the fact that I've been playing this game since launch, which was 9 years ago? What the fuck? And it still gets more DLC than Sparking Zero? Yeah, okay, maybe that was in bad taste, but yeah. Damn, this game's old. Yeah, I'm probably never going to make one of these videos again, mostly because I just don't like doing voiceovers. If anything, I'll probably end up streaming like the extra missions, and then maybe completing all of the parallel quests, and then maybe going to Xenoverse 1 if I really want to do that. But, you know, that's all stuff for later. This is probably going to be the last video for a while, mostly because I'm off to college and doing college stuff. But even still, again, if you really like this video, maybe consider dropping a sub, maybe a like, maybe share the video to some other people, I don't know. But until then, guess I'll see y'all probably next year or during Christmas. I don't know.